anytime you're a smokes player, especially Clove, you kind of want to hover around the middle of the map. And the reason I say especially Clove is because notice how when it comes to Clove, you have a very limited field of view of the map, right? If you're on Omen, at least you could probably smoke from a little bit farther away, but when you're on Clove, you have this limited POV, so you kind of want to hover around the middle of the map. Now, whenever you're hovering around the middle of the map, what I like to do is if I'm playing Clove, okay, the first thing you want to understand is you don't have to play on site, okay? The two areas that I personally would play if I was playing Clove is I would either play off of the site, still hovering around the middle, so I can smoke C like this if I need to, I can smoke A like this if I need to, right? And I can also smoke B like this if I need to, right? And I'm doing that all from a very safe location, right? The reason why is because you don't want to get caught out with your smokes in the middle of the site, right? Or even if you're here, you don't want to just get caught out if someone walks up on you, right? Now, the other thing to keep in mind is not just that, okay? The other thing to keep in mind is how you actually play the retake simulator, right? A lot of things that I notice in low elo is like, okay, for example, let's say that they're going to be going to B site, right? Players in low elo, they'll smoke this, and then they'll feel this pressure or like this urge to get into the site and play in the site before any of their teammates are even coming to them, right? And the problem with this is, think about it, right? If there's 4 people here and they're blasting, packing out like with like all this utility, the chances of you surviving this fight is very low, right? No matter where you are on this site. So it's a good rule of thumb to follow is if you're playing smokes, right? You notice there B, the best thing you can do is smoke it off, be like, hey, there B, you know, you can ping it or call it out to your team, and then you just look at your minimap and you wait for your teammates to rotate. Wait for your teammates to get into power positions, okay? Now, what is a power position? Let's talk about that. When you're rotating from C, okay, and it's B, where do you end up stopping your movement? Typically here, right? The reason you'll end up stopping your movement here is because now you have to start clearing all these angles of where the enemies could be, right? And same thing from A, right? Where do they end up stopping their movement? Typically right here, right? They might break this and now they have to start clearing all these angles so that they can actually push into the site. This is what you can call power positions. All right, this is going to kind of help you understand the timing of how you retake when you're playing smokes, okay? So once you notice on your minimap, right? So if I'm here and I'm looking at my minimap and I notice that these guys are now in power positions, essentially meaning almost ready to enter the site, that's when I can start focusing more on the map, not the map, but like in game, right? Versus looking at the map. What I mean by that is when you start scaling onto the side, right? You can't just peek into all these angles and also look at your minimap to make sure that they're coming with you, right? So what's going to happen is you have to do something called trust the power position that they are in. What does that mean? Once you realize that they're close enough to where you can assume that they're going to start pushing into the site, that's when you can stop looking at your minimap and you can start retaking with your team, right? And they should most of the time follow you as well, right? They're going to start going inside with you and it's all going to work out because you guys are all pushing together as a team. So how would you scale as a smokes player? Now, the first thing you need to understand is you should never feel pressured to be the first one to peak angles as a smokes player, okay? Listen, I get it. You have ranked teammates, your duelists aren't doing their job, right? Well, if they're not doing their job, just take your time. Take your time, still continue to bait. Your whole mindset as a smokes player is to not be the first one in, not be the second one in, but be either the third one, the fourth one, or the fifth one in, right? The reason why is because you need to smoke the site for these guys, right? So for example, I'm not going to come here and I'm not going to be the first one taking this point of contact. I'll let my teammates take it. I'll wait for them to kind of scale up here, right? Once I notice it's kind of safe, then I'll start scaling too, right? Once I notice it's safe, if I'm playing Clove, right? Then I'll come here. I won't really peek too many angles. Maybe I'll peek like some of these angles and I'll immediately tuck here and then I'll get my smokes ready, right? And how to smoke, right? I could go ahead and show you guys the in-depth guide on how to smoke on Lotus, right? Maybe I will, but I want to give you guys a general idea so you understand how to smoke on any map, right? The places you want to focus on smoking the most is always going to be entry spots into the site, okay? It should always look something like this, right? The reason why is because some people, especially on like Pearl and stuff, they'll smoke off areas of the map where enemies can't enter from, but where enemies might already be. Does that make sense? So like for example, They might smoke like, I mean, I can't really show an example on this map, but I guess Pearl is a better example to show. But like just to show like a like a crazy example, someone might do a smoke like this. Obviously that's like very rare, but maybe in low elo they might, just because they saw someone was here, right? So it's just not a good smoke, you know what I'm saying? So try to focus on smoking things where it's like entry areas to the site, right? And that should just be your main focus for now, until you get into way higher elo where you can start using variations to kind of catch the opponents off guard. That's a whole different story, right? But for now, we're just focused on getting you guys into the immortal rank first before we can start talking about all that. Because trust me, you can make it to immortal rank doing some normal ass smokes. Okay, now that we understand that, right, how do you scale as a Clove player? Well, here's the most important thing you have to understand, okay, because this is some crazy sauce I'm about to drop on you guys, because a lot of players don't do this. I mean, everything in this video is crazy sauce. I genuinely don't think you're going to find a guide in this in-depth for Clove anywhere online, genuinely. So let's talk about this, okay? When you are scaling into the site as Clove, right, you want to take a second to watch your minimap, okay? You just want to take a second and watch your minimap, see the initial ways that your team is scaling. Okay, is there a guy going right side? Is there a guy going up here, right? Once you see these initial ways, you want to immediately identify the gap. Where is the gap? Well, in this scenario, if someone's scaling this way and another guy's scaling this way, the gap would be up here, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to come up here. I'm just going to hold this. Right? I'm going to hold this and allow these guys to scale up in these areas, right? This is going to allow you so that if someone starts running up here, it's a free kill for you, right? Free kill for you, right? Let me see if the audio is too high. No, it's not. Okay, good. Right, but also once you identify this gap and you understand that the gap is clear, the second step for you is to also push in, but you want to just play behind someone. This is a good rule of thumb for you to follow. Play behind someone, right? If someone's standing here and they're kind of like peeking this angle, you want to play behind them, and then once they get traded, you can trade them instantly, right? You want to be able to peek off of players. If someone's like standing here and they're holding this, you can just kind of like put yourself back here, right? And you can just insta trade if they die, right, etc., etc. If someone is maybe here, right, if someone's in like a one and done spot where they have like a back against the wall, then it's better for you to not be there. This is a very tight angle, right? But you can hold their waterfall, right? So your whole point as a Clove player is to find gaps and hold those gaps, and if there are no gaps, then just play off of someone. That should be your mindset. Okay, so it's like, okay, what's the initial gap? The initial gap's here. I'm going to hold this, right? Once this is done and this gap has been cleared, I can come here. I'm going to clear the common angles as if, you know, there's still not clear, just to be on the safe side, because you can't trust your ranked teammates, right? And then once I'm safe here, I'm going to do what I always recommend my students to do, which is check your minimap. Once you're in a safe location and you understand that you're not going to be taking any gunfights anytime soon, just do yourself a favor, look at the minimap, be like, okay, where are the points of contact, right? Okay, let's see, what has not been covered? Where's the gap? Is someone watching waterfall? Yes. Okay, cool. Is someone watching CT? No. Okay, fine. Maybe we don't need to hold CT necessarily, because it's kind of like a hard angle to just stay straight up hold, right? So like, what can I do here? Maybe I can set up a crossfire with the guy waterfall, right? Maybe I can hold this guy's angle, he can hold this deeper angle, and we can have someone holding here, right? Essentially, it's just all about looking at the gaps. Once you're safe, look at the gaps on your mini map, take a second, and then find that gap and just help out your team, right? And when I say help out your team, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to fill the gap by running into it instantly. This happens a lot with lower elo players. When they'll notice the gap, right, they'll be like, oh, waterfall's not being held, let me go hold it, and then boom, they're dead, right? If you find something that's not being held, the first question you need to ask yourself is, how long has it not been held for, right? Because if it's been a while, it's very possible that these guys could already be walking up, right? So you want to take your time and just like hold and just clear, right? Clear, and then maybe you can hold like a crossfire from back here. But you should never just be quick to hold something just because it's not being held, right? Take your time, allow the enemies to play the game at your pace. You don't want to be playing the game at their pace, all right? You'll say it all, be it all answer for any rank, right? It's just like, okay, you know, maybe I'm shooting a guy here and I notice that he's behind this wall. I'm just going to vulnerable him, and then I can spam the wall, and it's like the freest kill of all time, right? Because now he's 1 HP and it's just an easy kill, right? Or I could just come here and I notice like, okay, maybe there's a guy tree. I'll throw a vulnerable tree to slow him down, and then I can clear the rest of the angles. And I don't have to worry about this angle anymore for a while, because this guy is already scared now that he's vulnerable. He doesn't want to peek out, right? So there's many different instances in which you can use it. I would say just experiment, play the game a lot on Clove. It'll come to you naturally. Now, the last but not least, how do you use Clove's ult? Okay, now again, very, very situational, but there are some laws you can keep in mind that can help you maximize Clove's ult. First things first, and I always say this, once you get your ult, use it, all right? There's no point in you holding your ult, right? Because at the end of the day, you might be able to use it twice and a half, but imagine if you could use it 3 times and a half or 4 times and a half by just insta farming orbs and just insta using your ults once you get it, right? What does that mean? That means you have more rounds to have max impact and more rounds that you can actually win because of your ults, right? So let's talk about it. How should you use your ults? Well, on offense, the most important way to use your ult, or the most beneficial way when it comes to ranked, is to just be like, yo, let's do a 5-man sight hit, right? And just bait me. I have ult. I'm going to go in first, right? I'm going to go in first and you guys bait me. Once I die, I'm just going to ult, and then you guys can keep pushing in with my ult, right? That's one of the best ways that you can use it on offense. However, this does not mean that you just run it down. W key, don't clear angles properly, right? That's not what it means to bait you, right? Now, I understand that some teammates in ranked are just stupid, all right? They're stupid. If you were to be like, yo guys, let's go see, bait me, right? They're gonna think that means that they just have free roam to just run in there, right? And they might end up going faster than you if you're taking your time, right? But I promise you, if they do that, that's on them, right? Don't focus on that. Take your time, go for a kill before you have to ult, right? The goal isn't for you to just run in there and knife out, die, and then ult, right? It's not going to be beneficial. The goal for you is to just kind of speed up the process and give your team confidence by taking the first engagement, right? So you're still taking your time, you're still skilling, right? And you guys can do a full man hit, right? And you're still clearing angles properly. It's just now you have your ult, so you have more confidence, your team has more confidence, and you can take more space more freely, right? So that's how you kind of want to use your ult when it comes to offense. And then when it comes to defense, there's 2 questions you want to ask yourself before you use your ult, okay? The first question is, if I use my ult here, will it convert into a kill, right? If I died right here and there's a guy looking at me right here, will it convert into a kill? The answer is most likely not. Why? Because I could ult and I could hide here, but then who's to say that when I peek back out, he's still going to be here, right? He's most likely going to run away. He's most likely going to run into a tree, right? And it's just not going to be worth it, right? But that's when it leads to the second question, because there's actually 3 questions, not 2 questions, 3 questions. So the first question is, if I use my ult here, will it convert into a kill? If the answer is no, maybe you don't ult. But then the second question is, if I use my ult here, will it allow my team to take necessary space? What do I mean by that? Let's say that we're playing retake on defense here, right? And all of a sudden, there's a guy here, and there's like a bunch of enemies in tree, whatever the case may be, but we don't know that, right? There could be enemy here, there could be enemy here, blah, blah, blah. It's me and 2 other people, and we need to retake this site, right? I come here, I see this guy, I insta-die to him, and then I ult, right? Guess what? Using this ult, I can scale all the way here, and I can clear everything, right? I can clear everything. I can call it to my team. I can take the necessary space very, very fast. So even if the Reyna runs away and hides in tree, I can come here and I can take all this space, and clear all these angles for my team to take the necessary space to increase our odds of winning the round, right? So that's the second question you want to ask yourself is, okay, if I ult here, can I take some necessary space to help my team out? If the answer is no, then most likely you're not going to ult. But then comes the very last question, which is, if I ult here, will it be a good bait for my teammate to get the kill? What does that mean? That means that, for example, let's say there is a guy, maybe here. Let's just give, for example, say there's a guy here, right? And I came here and I insta-died, right? I insta-die, and I see that I have a teammate that's sneaking up here, right? What am I going to do? Am I just going to sit here and watch this happen? No, I'm going to insta-ult, so that way my teammate can come around the corner, and this guy has to focus on 2 different things, and it makes it easier for my teammate to get the kill, right? So I'm essentially baiting for my teammate to get a free kill, right? So those are your 2 options, or sorry, your 3 options that you want to actively think about when you're on defense that'll essentially help you maximize the, however much impact you can have with the Clove ult. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my in-depth guide. And I hope you guys learned a lot, because I know that I just dropped some crazy sauce in this video. And hopefully this can help you guys rank up very, very fast for all you Clove players. And for now, this is going only to my private community, my extremely private community, the 0.01%, and maybe in the near future I may turn this into a video just so we can show the world how much sauce I drop in the private community and help you guys rank up very, very fast.